Ladies and gentlemen, dear friends, good evening.
Hello,
Hello.
everyone.
Hi, everybody. Welcome, to our next session.
Yeah.
We are, as always, on YouTube and LinkedIn. So if you can, put in your comments that you can hear us and see us, I'll check it also on LinkedIn Live. Yeah, it looks like it works on LinkedIn. So if
Perfect. And
you can be so kind and put in the comments that you can see us and you can hear us, that would be great. So we
I
can.
would even love, Jan, to invite everyone to put into the comments, what did you do to celebrate World Mental Health Awareness Day?
Oh, that was
So,
yesterday, right? That was yesterday.
yesterday,
Absolutely,
yes.
absolutely, absolutely.
So, if you didn't know it, yesterday was World Mental Health Awareness Day, which has become a very big topic since COVID-19, as you all can imagine. And more companies are starting to celebrate it. It's becoming a big deal on LinkedIn. So, if you did anything to celebrate yourself, maybe you took the day off, maybe meditated in the morning, let us know.
Perfect. Yeah, it looks like LinkedIn is working. If somebody from YouTube can also put there that it works, so we can start. It looks like on LinkedIn there are like 33 people I see. So if we can, if somebody from YouTube can also put it, because I think they updated, the StreamYard, and it's taking some time before
Mm.
StreamYard is able to connect places like Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. I have the same issue with the if I broadcast in Czech. Anyway, so we will start today. The topic is anger, frustration, stress, and everything in your job. So maybe Lisa, if you can kick it off. I have a
Yes.
lot of notes here.
I was just going to say, there is no
And then
shortage
we
of
will
people.
discuss that. And we are very much, interested in your view, because there is a lot of shit, and a lot of negativity around, right? So
I mean, this is it. I mean, obviously, Jan, you and I pick our topics based on what's happening real time with our clients,
exactly,
what we see that's
exactly.
happening. And lately, the whole theme of what's been going on is I'm pissed off, I'm mad, I'm angry, I'm
This is
frustrated.
interesting. This is interesting because recently I've got at least 6 large corporations, including places like Skoda Auto and so on. And what I'm hearing from the people that they would expect after COVID that the things will like cool down and everything will be nice or whatever. It's the other way around, in fact.
And that's exactly it. So what happened is everyone sort of pulled together. They said, okay, we're going to do this sprint, this unknown, this chaos, this adrenaline. We're going to pull through it. And then it kind of didn't end, but then it kind of ended. A lot of people took their summer holidays this year and thought, okay, I can take a fresh breath. And we came back from the summer holidays, and what did a lot of the major corporations do? They said, "Ooh, recession's coming. We're doing restructuring. We're doing a hiring freeze. We're doing layoffs." That is not helpful to people who are looking
Absolutely.
for a break.
Absolutely.
And now people are stressed.
And there's a lot of pressure not only in work but also at home, because the energy will be, the prices will be up, and obviously all the inflation and stuff like that, right? So
Exactly. And here in Europe, where we're based, honestly, it's different because when I was in Abu Dhabi a couple of weeks ago, nobody talked a word about energy. Every light was on, the air conditioning was on, nobody cared.
they come on, they have natural resources. They will, profit out of that.
Yes. But then I go back to the US, and the US, everybody's like, oh, there's like an energy thing. Yeah, I think I've heard of that, but they don't change either. Here in Europe, it's a crisis, right?
Right.
So there's inside of work crisis, home life, expensive. If you're living in the UK, I'm so sorry. Energy crisis coming. There's just a lot. And it's boiling over, and it's turning into
Yeah.
frustration, anger, hopelessness, rage, annoyance, feeling like it's not going to get better anytime soon.
Yeah.
That's not a great place to be.
I, But anyway, let's start with our, friends like more than 2000 years ago with Stoics. Okay, what did they say, right? We as a humans, we can influence our own, behavior. It's hard to influence what's going on. What you can do, what you can influence, it's your, reaction. What how you will react to that, right? And there was a great thought leader, psychiatrist, Viktor Frankl, who survived a couple of Nazi camps. And in his book, The Man's Search for Meaning, which is, by the way, about the meaning in your life, and I definitely would recommend you to read. You've got it there. So he defines something which is called in psychology freedom of choice. Okay. There's a stimuli. I mean, there's some crisis, there is some, anger, frustration in your job, whatever. You cannot influence that. What you can influence, it's your reaction to what's going on. Okay. So how you will decide to, react. And U.S. Navy basically they toughest unit SEAL operation, they distinguish between two words. It's threat or it is a challenge. Okay, they figured out if those soldiers would say, "Hey, it's a threat," then they will be under the stress. It's not good, simply from like
Exactly.
your hormones point of view. Okay, if you will say, "Hey, it's gonna to be challenge," then testosterone and endorphin are released, and it's giving you energy. Okay, so it even like the wording is very important. And you should understand, in all of us there is a battle between your monkey and your professor. let me let me talk a little bit about first about the monkey and then about professor. I just need to look at the LinkedIn. What is the monkey? Monkey is a small part of our brain called amygdala, and thanks to amygdala we survive, because that part of the brain was telling to our predecessors, hey, if there's some danger, if you can lose your life, some tigers, lions, maybe some other people, fight if you have like weapons and you have energy, flee, escape if you have just energy, and if you don't have weapons or energy, you just should hide somewhere. Okay, that's how fight, flee, or freeze was born in psychology. And it's basically stress. Stress is, our signal how to survive. That's why amygdala, your monkey's agenda is survival. Your monkey is not giving a shit to your, mood or your emotions, whatever. It is survival, survival, survival. So monkey is not good friend for like winning or making some breakthroughs or making some success. Okay, monkey is about survival. That's number one. And because of that, monkey, all of your thoughts would mean that monkey would say, hey, this is true, this is true, this is true. Monkey does not distinguish between the facts and some bullshit bingo in your brain. Okay, and there's a lot of bullshit bingo going on, because not all thoughts you have are true. Okay, so there is a lot of bullshit bingo coming on in your brain. Okay, that's amygdala, that's monkey. And monkey is very, very fast. It's 10 times faster, 5 to 10 times faster than your professor. Now, who is your professor? It's basically neocortex. That's the part of the brain where you think and so on. And the professor is about progress, success, and so on. And professor, because it's a professor, is a logic, rational man. Professor or a woman, obviously, a professor can distinguish whether it's true or not, whether it's fact or not. The issue is that professor is slow. It's much slower than the monkey. So you need to encourage your professor. That's what the U.S. Navy is doing. They don't talk about the threat. They talk about challenge. Okay. And because monkey is much faster, in psychology, we talk about negative bias. And negativity is it's flying much faster than positivity, right? This is it. That's why. And that's one point. The other point is that our emotions are contagious. So if there are 10 people in your office with kind of the positive mindset and they want to do something, and there is a one guy you know, with negativity, with very negative mindset, it's like infection. Okay.
Yes.
Because that infection, because those emotions are contagious, then everybody say, hey, maybe Joe is a little bit right what he's saying. Maybe it's like that, and it goes like really like infection, right? And now, why emotions are contagious? Because we have those mirror neurons. We are mirroring basically our environment. This is it, right? That's why yesterday they asked me. I was, teaching the course at the, oldest university in Central Europe, Charles University. 1348 was,
Wow.
if I remember correctly from the school. Probably I do. Anyway, and they asked me, what about if there is some toxic, thoughts and toxic environment in the job? I said, you need to, work on that immediately, send immediate signal. This is absolutely unacceptable. Otherwise, it can destroy the whole team. Okay. So we need you need to be really, careful and rather drive this, positivity. It's not like false positivity. No, you need to be like realistic, but it should not be like everything is wrong, we will never do it, all of that stuff, and all of that frustration. So this is it basically. This is kind of how you can frame, that issue. The problem is that, like average human being really does not understand what is amygdala, what is your logical part of the brain, and how it works, even what is like negative bias, because we are teaching people what is around them. We are teaching people about other people. We are not teaching them about themselves, right? So that's the issue.
But that's exactly right, because I mean, you've summarized it so nicely. So the very first step of what we have to do when we're feeling anger and frustration, reframe it. When you feel it's a threat, it's negative, it's bad, it's frustrating, you end up spiraling. You stay in that spiral. It's hard. You're contagious. You share it with your colleagues. They start complaining. Then you start complaining because they're complaining, and it's a death spiral. Where we want to go is to this part of the brain, as Jan said it so nicely. We look, okay, we're going to call it a challenge. We want to look for the opportunity in every situation. So I just recently was coaching someone who said, oh, this is all hard and it's not working. And I said, that's true. It is hard. We accept that. We're not pretending that it's not. And what could be some opportunities? Well, we know that creativity comes out very strongly when there are constraints and when people are focused. Excellent. So everybody's been talking about innovation, but hasn't actually been innovating. Now might be the actual right time to innovate because we have these constraints, because we have to for survival, right? So when you switch your mindset from protect what we've had or things are going wrong and it's chaotic, when you switch it to there's an opportunity here. What is that? Where can I move forward? How can I, not pretending the situation's great. Oh, everything's wonderful. No, but saying it's okay that it's hard because we're going to do this with it. That is how you start switching your brain. And Jan and I talk about all the time about mental strength and how to not let whatever shit is happening around you change who you are. So how do you stay strong? There's two ways to do it. One is top down, through my mind, mental strength. I can do this. I'm stronger than this. Even though it's hard, I'm going to get on it. I'm going to take it on. And one is bottom up, using the body. Yeah. In sports, we use bottom up more.
Absolutely.
And in business, we pretend it doesn't exist and we pretend we're only top down.
It is the story, by the way. When Roger Federer finished his career a couple of weeks ago, there's a supplement of one of the journals in Czech for the coaches. It's called Coach. And they asked me if I can, summarize why, Roger Federer was unique, right? And one thing I said, because I met recently, both Rafael Nadal and Novak Djokovic at Wimbledon. And, if you take Djokovic, Nadal or Federer, you cannot, from the expression of their face or the body language, you cannot figure out what is the score of the game. And that's real mastery, okay? Because the one thing is the situation. For them, it's a score. For you, it's a situation in your job, whatever. You are frustrated, whatever, right? but it depends what will be your view of that situation. That's what is important. This is what is important, because you can, one thing is the situation or the score in the sport, and the other situation, you can create your own view, your own mental cocktail, which will encourage you. Majority of athletes, even my athletes, unfortunately, if they are doing very well, they are like, oh, very good, so they are encouraging themselves. Once they start to lose, they go with the head down, and they start to say, hey, I'm not good enough, whatever. The curiosity of that is, if everything is going very well, you don't need that much to be encouraged, because your brain is taking care of that. There's a lot of dopamine, endorphin, if there's a good team, serotonin, oxytocin, and so on. So it's great, right? But if it's not going very well, you need to create it through your body, through your thoughts, and through your breath, basically. Yeah, right. This is it. And you can really, even though the situation is tough, it is your perception of the situation. It's not situation itself. It's a perception of the situation. Look, 10 years ago, I was deeply depressed for 6 months. Before that, I was like, top flying manager, whatever, great guy. And I could easily, after those 6 months, when I recovered, I could easily say, oh, I absolutely failed. And now what should I do? I mean, the story is I'm no more successful manager because I failed. I was in the mental hospital, even whatever. I didn't do that. I said, no, what I can do, I can, I recovered. That's great, and I can learn from that. I can, what I can learn, how brain works and so on. So I took, good part, and I even start to talk about it. And now my, yesterday was a day of the mental health or stuff like that. And in each presentation, it's part of my presentation, because this is the way how I learn a lot about, about our brain, what the brain is, really doing when you are not in the great shape. So it's really about, it's called paradigm, paradigm, sorry, paradigm, the way you view the situation. That's what counts, and that's what creates this, mental cocktail. Tony Robbins, if you listen to him, he talks very often about priming, that in the morning you can do a couple of routines which will create, like set up, your day. Basically, you will set up for the success, and every day you succeed or you learn something new. Okay, this is it. Even if you fail, you can still learn a lot of new things, and this is it. And I think it's the same. We can learn a lot from the sport, how you can view different situations in the job, that you don't need to be frustrated or angry or whatever. And then if you are strong enough, your positive emotions are also contagious. So you can, and if you have energy, you can infect, it can be positive infection for the team or for the other people.
That's exactly right. So one of the things that we want to do from what you just said is we want to take our whatever we're feeling, maybe it's anger, but we want to turn it into action. If we can change something about it, we should. I often say this about sitting in traffic. If you're sitting in traffic, but you can get off the freeway at this exit and you can go do go do that. Right? If you can't, then you change your mindset. Then you change how you feel. It doesn't do anybody any good to be annoyed that you're stuck in traffic. Pop in your favorite podcast and go, great, some free time for learning, right? You change the way you think about the situation. But I actually love the idea, even if we can control how we are with our mental strength so it doesn't feel like anger.
Right.
But we also want to be curious about why we're feeling frustrated. What about it? Because anger and frustration, and if you're curious about it, it might lead you to saying, I want to change something. I want to change a policy at my work. I want to stand up. I don't believe that we should be, I don't know, helping arms dealers. So I'm going to talk to my company, or I'm going to lead a petition, or I'm going to talk to my politician. Whatever it is, the anger can give you a clue. This is something that's important for you, and you can do something positive from that space. We don't want to ignore anger, but we also don't want to let it cloud us to the point where it's running our life. We use it for curiosity. We use it to learn from it. And then we Let it go.
Exactly, because that, the thing is that human beings, I will, draw something for you. We as a humans, the optimal performance, in fact, goes like that. Whatever you do, okay, it goes like that. Imagine this is your performance, and this is your, adrenaline, nervosity. So if you are totally, like calm down, you are not able to do very well. You need to be, it's called, you adrenaline over here. That's the optimal level of adrenaline, right? And this is what you can do basically. Whatever is your situation, you can use that, adrenaline or, nervosity or whatever in your favor. You can, turn it in your advantage, right? In this way.
Exactly.
That's
Exactly.
one thing. The other thing is, very often that anger and frustration is coming from the fact that we are perfectionists. And let me talk a little bit, what is the difference between perfectionist and somebody who wants to be excellent. Okay, perfectionist is usually a person who is like, hey, the mindset is following, hey, I'm the winner, or I'm the master of the situation, or I'm total loser. There's nothing in between. Okay, it's
Likewise.
it's one or zero. Okay, very often, Carol Dweck, the professor at the Stanford University, she calls it fixed mindset. You are fixated to the results. Okay, and so if you are perfectionist and you will not change, you will die very unhappy, because you are, the things are not perfect, right? Even those tennis players I mentioned, they need to, if they play like 80% of their, capacity, they are still able to win. Because if you will go like, oh, I'm not playing on my 100%, you are playing very soon only 60%, on the 60%, because that's your amygdala will, ensure that. Okay, so perfection is, it's not, right way. What we know about people who are perfectionists, if they are successful, they, dopamine goes like, there is a peak of the dopamine and it goes down, peak down. Okay, and it's also dropping to the baseline. The issue is, once they are stopping to be successful, their baseline of dopamine goes down, and they are very often like depressed, or they are giving up very soon, and so on. On the other hand, excellence is about something different. Excellence is about like, be the best version of yourself, now and every day. I can improve step by step. And excellent people are usually also people with high self-confidence, because self-confidence, guys, it's not about winning or, be successful. You can win and you can be successful, but you don't need to be. Self-confidence is about your ability to perform at your best at that particular moment. But it doesn't mean that your, competitor, both at the market, if you are in the business or in the sport, maybe they are better. Okay, but it is about the best performance in that particular moment. And those people with the excellence, they are not, generating those peaks of the adrenaline, but dopamine. But dopamine goes like, how they are improving. It's going, up and up and up and up, and they are able to do that activity for very long time, because dopamine is about energy and motivation, those two. Okay, and that mindset is called growth mindset, because you are like improving, all the time, right? So that's a huge difference. And if you have this growth mindset, I believe that you are like less frustrated, less angry, and you can, react much better in the different, situations. And curiosity is key, because people with the excellence, they are usually very curious. They're like asking, hey, if I'm losing or whatever, I'm making some mistake, what is the learning opportunity there? What positive I can take from this moment? That's one thing. The other thing is, what I realize, even like in the sport and in the business, people with high level of curiosity, they can handle much better the amygdala, they, monkey,
Yes.
because monkey is about stress, and stress is about fight, flee, or freeze. So it's kind of the negative zoom in. It's about survival. Why, curiosity, it's like positive zoom out. Hey, there are maybe much more, options than, those. and you are able through curiosity very often to cool down your amygdala, because the monkey is not jumping all the time. The monkey is jumping only if this is new situation, if it's dangerous, or if it's unpredictable. Okay, if it's something, even though it's a tough, but you were in these situations already, you can still perform very well, be in that present moment, because you already know what to do, right? So those are like a couple of points about how mindset is influencing your behavior even in your job.
Yes, and I know, Jan, that so many people then want to ask us, but practically, that's great. I should really like flip. I should have a growth mindset. How do I do that? That's the number
Okay.
one thing everyone asks me after we talk about the theory. You got to
Yeah.
know what you're aiming for to go from fight or flight, amygdala, monkey brain,
Yeah.
to this really open,
Very.
creative, resourceful.
Yeah, there is a very easy tool I created, because there is a something in psychology well known. It's called act of gratitude, which is basically you pick up three things which were going very well, and you will thank for them. Okay, I created something similar, but it goes beyond act of gratitude, because it works not only with the things which were nice, but with the things where you learn. Basically, I call it you basically remind yourself what was going well. That's where we overlap with the act of gratitude. Okay, you remind, you repair what was not going very well. So you basically imagine, if you make some mistakes, you imagine how you will do it differently in the future. Okay, remind, repair, and imagine how you will do it in the future. And that's the way every day, if you will do that, and you can even do your journal, right, how you are like improving. That's the way to the growth mindset, because every day dopamine will be released, because you will your brain, if you will realize, hey, this is what I did well, this is what I learned, this is how I will continue. Dopamine will basically say, hey, that was a good day, whatever are the results, that was a good day, I won, or I learned something new. And that dopamine will give you energy to continue. You will be motivated, because it's not only reward hormone, but it's also motivational hormone, right? So you will be motivated, right? Because why is that? Because if your brain is not trained, and you made 10 great things that day, and one thing was not going very well, your
Won't be
monkey will
focused.
jump immediately on that thing and will go like that. You may have a issue with like sleeping, whatever, because it will go around and around and around, because it's called negative bias. Okay, because your monkey is about survival, so monkey is not giving shit to your successes. And even though it's 10-1, which is like statistically great,
Fantastic.
you will, once you will start to believe your monkey, believe your monkey. If you are like crossing the street and maybe there is some car going on the red light, that's where the monkey will help you. But other than that, don't believe all your thoughts, because some of your thoughts which are generated through the monkey are really crazy thoughts, right? And
Yes.
it always challenge, hey, is this really true? Right? Ask this question, because it's all about the logic.
I mean, so many great things here, right? I ask myself every night a series of questions. Have you done your best to? And it's like love your husband, be loving and caring to your children. And I ask myself every night, have you done one thing that scares you?
Yeah.
And I don't mean physical scary. I am not one to jump off of cliffs or anything of that sort, but it's pushing myself constantly to not get into a safe zone. And it's of my choosing, but I do always want to like push a little further, a little further, a little further. And so then what feels safe for me keeps growing and growing, because I have this growth mindset. That's the way that I put it for myself. Not just what have I learned today, but what am I doing to push my boundaries? What am I trying to scare myself? Because you can accomplish way more of what's possible if you're constantly pushing just a little bit farther. And a lot of what we're saying here, again, there's a fundamental basic step that's missing for people who aren't yet used to going from the monkey brain to this focus on the positivity. I love what you said, Jan, because what you did is you activated everything that's in this
Of
part of the
course.
brain, and you said, okay, where's the opportunity? How can I do better going forward, right? Like future focus lives here as well. The first thing that people need to understand, though, is when you're feeling angry, especially if you're feeling like rage or something really high on the emotion scale of anger, you don't want to think about something you're grateful for. You want to throw a plate on the ground, right? So the number one thing that you need to do is whatever you are on a 1 to 10 emotional scale, right? If you're like a 10 and furious and rage, just tell yourself, you don't have to get to a 1. You don't need to be a Zen yoga master. How do I get myself to a 9? How do I half a breath?
Right.
How to close my eyes, whatever it is, take myself away from the situation for a moment. Just keep trying to get yourself down, cool it down a little bit. You will not be able to switch from this crazy emotional hijack to this calm, rational, wonderful thing when your emotion is too strong. So your very first step, notice when you're in a rage and just try to get it lower on the scale. By the time you're at like a 5, like you're annoyed and frustrated, but you're not, blood's not boiling within you. That's when we can start to pull in some of these techniques where we're going, okay, how can I override that with the mind or with the body? So you can do a lot of really good breathing. Tagging along with what Jan's saying, your body, when it's under stress, when it thinks it's being attacked, it can't breathe very well. So when you go deep breaths, you're telling your body, no lion is chasing me, because if the lion were chasing you, you wouldn't be having very deep breaths. So if you can give yourself some deep breaths, that's you telling your body it's all good. That's one way, body, bottom up, that you can start to activate the right parts of your brain and the right hormones that you want to have activated.
Yeah, absolutely. Because look, if somebody is really like, if somebody pissed you off big time, okay, and you are in the big stress, so your brain, your monkey will prepare you really like for the escaping or for the fight or for the hide, whatever. But what is happening with your body and your breath? Okay, you are in the stress, under the pressure, when you are angry, frustrated, whatever. You activating the this part of your autonomic nerve system, which is called sympathetic system. And what is basically happening, right? It's funny because it's called sympathetic system and parasympathetic is over there. It should be the other way around. That's what
Agreed.
that's what the neuroscientists are saying. But anyway, so what is happening? You start to breathe like that, which means that you are blocking your diaphragm. Okay, you are blocking the stress is basically shutting down all processes like digestion, everything. It's just about survival. Okay, it's blocking the diaphragm and the blood. The reason why, if you are angry or frustrated, you are not thinking logically, is because your blood from your brain goes, if you go for the fight, to your arms, to the legs if you go for the pre-escape, and to the whole body if you go to hide somewhere. Okay, so you don't think logically. If you are under the stress, you don't think logically. That's why we are sometimes saying things we should not say normally, but this is it. Okay, now if you are in the stress and amygdala is ruling your brain, amygdala is never in the present moment. Amygdala is never. That's why athletes or other people, if they are under the stress, they cannot concentrate very well. They are not able to be in the present moment. Because what is amygdala is basically your ego. And ego, it's like, the sum of your, fears. Okay. And fears are always in the past or in the future. Fears are never in the present moment. Let's try to follow me. Let's breathe in by nose and breathe out. And tell me, what were your fears now? There were no fears because we were in the present moment, because your breath and your body is always here and now. So the question is how you can help your mind to be also through your body and your breath to be back in the present moment. Okay. And there are a lot of, techniques you can do, like breathe in, breathe out, and cool down basically on at least to level 4 or 5. So you can use the the other techniques, but this is it, right? The fears are always from something which happened, which may happen, and very often is connected. Like the goalkeepers, my goalkeepers, I have like ice hockey and football goalkeepers. They basically, if they're getting the goal, okay, it goes like, hey, I got a goal, it's my mistake, and that's why my team will lose the whole match. The truth is that that person got the goal, but how that person knows that it was his or her mistake, and that the whole match will be lost. No, it is amygdala. Those two, it's not the fact. But very often, if they start to believe, hey, it's like that, it's hard for them to concentrate, and they may get another goal, right? This is it. And it's the same with anger or frustration. So it's necessary to get back to the present moment and like cool down, and then you can really react properly. And we can talk about a couple of techniques which will help you to cool down your monkey, so that you will be much more, if you will face somebody who is really choleric, you will basically cool down. My wife, she is nice person, but she is a choleric, so I know what is it. So she it makes no sense to basically fight with choleric in that particular moment, because if you are like logical person like me, so my brain is on a very different frequency than her brain. Once she's cooling down, I can make some logical arguments, but normally it's it's impossible. If there is a like that person is having that kind of distressful experience, it's hard, right?
Exactly. And one of the best techniques, I mean, there are so many really simple techniques you can use, and this is home, work, across all things. Again, if the person's at like a 9, 10 in a rage, like we were just joking around with some of my friends who would like take out a bag of chips of their husband, pour them on the ground and step on them to make a mess. If you're in that state, you just need to leave a little bit of time to cool it down.
Right.
But if you're somewhere, a little bit lower, one of the best things you can do to further ease any tension, any stress, any frustration is humor. Just
Exactly.
make a joke, just lighten the mood. Think to yourself, make it a game for yourself so you don't get sucked into this negative energy. Keep yourself above it and make it a game for yourself. How can I bring what's called levity to this situation? Levity is like a lightness. How do I make this funny? Right? So I do this with my kids. I do this when it's a tense situation, when I'm mediating a conflict between team members.
Yeah.
How do we just break the tension a little bit with a joke that's relevant to whatever's going on? Because that is one of the things that can help to switch us back, that can pop us out of this, I have to protect, Oh, okay, no, I don't really have to protect. Okay, because all we want to do is create a moment of pause. Whatever you're in, anger, frustration, you gotta have some moment to pause and break it. That's what breathing does. That's what humor can do.
Yeah, because with the jokes, it works in the following way. The human brain, we are basically used to get a lot of stories, because the age of computers is here like for 50 years, maybe 30 years, the real age of computers. The age of the stories is here forever, okay? And the story is the way how people remember and switch. And if you think about the jokes, joke is the story and goes like that, and then suddenly the joke is having some funny end or whatever. And this is exactly, if people will start to concentrate, you are moving them through the story, through the joke, to the concentration, right? And they start to think, hey, the amygdala is like cooling down, and they start to think like more rationally or more creatively, if you in that particular case.
That's it. And for anyone who's looking to learn more about it, there is a book by some Stanford professors called Humor Seriously. And they have great practical tips, because what they say is, listen, you don't need to be a stand-up comedian to be able to be a little bit funny or make some jokes, right?
Exactly.
So for example, a friend of mine just took a new job, and she wrote in her biography this many years of experience in sales with these companies and all this great stuff. And then at the end, her hobbies include 90s boy bands, right? Just a little bit of fun, a little bit of something that's interesting. She really loves the Backstreet Boys. But it breaks it up. It doesn't feel so serious. You have a better connection. Humor is a great way to bring out oxytocin connectedness. When you're connected with people, you're more likely to have a little bit more empathy, a little bit more patience to listen to them, to understand, to be wanting to connect. So anything you can do to bring a little bit of levity, a little bit of lightness to the situation. And it helps you because it gives you something to focus on. It's really easy when someone says something offensive for your ego to jump in and you can stay with the ego. Or you can go, hold on, I'm going to accept this challenge. What's a funny joke that I can make here? Let me practice my joke making skills, right? And so you find a way to bring yourself to this rational part of your brain. So you're already helping yourself get out of the spiral.
Exactly. And so go ahead.
I was just going to share a story, but
maybe it would be good, guys, if you can, put in the comments your questions or maybe some experience from the work, how you face some situations with anger and frustration, and if you have some tools, proven tools how to do it right. And so let's put it there. It's because it's taking some time before it will appear here. I'll talk about a couple of things which, Andrew Huberman, very famous, scientist and neuroscientist, talks about stress regulation, okay? Number one is sleep, because, tired brain is frustrated brain, it's anger brain, and so on, right? There's a lot of, I have some friends and they are saying, I can sleep only 4 hours. Okay, fine. But what is your performance the next day? Okay. Sleeping, and I'm talking about sleeping. I'm not talking about being in the bed. If you are in the bed for 8 hours and you sleep like 4 hours, right? And you go like your amygdala is like crazy, you cannot sleep. It doesn't count. I'm talking about the time when you are sleeping. That's why I wear, this Oura ring. So you cannot foolish, yourself. Right? I have nothing to do with the Oura Corporation. I'm like buying.
But you should. I was just going to say,
I should. I don't need to. I don't need to do any influencing of the product because anyway. Okay. So there are a couple of reasons why you need to have a rest for your body. That's number one. Okay. Even though you do job you love and you are very often in the flow, you are in this optimal performance, all of those hormones like endorphin, oxytocin, dopamine, serotonin, which are released during the day, some other chemicals, they need to clean your brain during your sleep. And if you are not sleeping enough, you don't have like clean brain and you cannot perform very well in the morning. This is it. And the last point is, if you learn something new, like both physically or mentally, for creation of the new neural pathways, the new, neuroplasticity, new synaptical connections, you need to have that deep sleep. And the deep sleep, I'll show you something. I think it will be visible. Like my last night, sleep. Okay.
I was just going to say, Jan, we have a comment here from James asking, so how many hours do you actually sleep? So now the truth comes out.
Yesterday night, I was in the bed, guys, for 8 hours, and I slept 7 hours, 21 minutes. Okay. And you see that, just a sec. Here is sleep. You see that the deep sleep, which is the dark, blue, is before midnight or after the midnight. More you go closer to the morning, there is a more REM phase when you are like having a dreams and so on. So that's why to sleep, you've got it also.
I've got my sleep also 7 hours, 8 minutes last night.
Okay, yeah. So
and these are my deep sleep.
Is absolutely important for you to have, this mental conditions. Okay, that's number one. Number two, and it has to do with Mother Nature. Okay, our predecessors, when they were like hunting, so they were like hunting, having a rest, hunting, having a rest. They've got a balance between this, sympathetical part and parasympathetical. Okay, it's even like breathing. Breathe in, breathe out. And majority of the people, they are like mindfully breathing in but automatically breathing out. And if you will breathing in, it's about tension, it's about sympathetical part of your nerve system, and then breathing out, it's about release. Okay, this is it. Even believe me, the tennis players I'm telling them, you need to breathe mindfully, even though it's a tough match. This is it, because this is the way how you can get a little bit more rest. So it starts with that. But this is it, unfortunately, that we work, and we don't have enough recovery. This is really important. The next point Andrew Huberman talks about, if you have something, if you do something which is the meaning of your life and you are inspired, chances are that your amygdala will be cooled down, basically, right? This is the growth mindset, because if you really do something you like, and you are inspired, then you will not be nervous and you like what you do. Okay. And the last point he talks about, this is not trivial, it's light. Okay, you need to have enough light, the daylight in the morning, but go outside of the building, or at least open the window, because the glass protection is like 50% less light. So in the morning, 10-15 minutes, you can watch some of his videos. He talks all the time about it, light. Okay, in the morning. And in the evening, make sure that from like, if for example, I go to the bed like 9:30 sometimes, but usually 10:30. Okay, so 9 o'clock I wear blue light protection glasses, or you may have some filter or whatever, because otherwise, if you do something on your PC or watch something, whatever, your brain thinks like 11 o'clock there is a midday, right? And you will not be able to sleep very well. A lot of athletes, unfortunately, they have it like that. They like, especially football players, they play FIFA till like midnight, and they oh, I can't sleep, I have a problem with my brain. No, this is the problem with your attitude. It's not problem with your brain. If you will change your attitude, it's not the issue. And then what he's saying, that because his specialty, it's eyes. Okay, and he's basically saying that if we are reading, it's like for 500 years we are reading, more or less, right? That's when the print was Gutenberg invention. Okay, so the reading, if our eyes are going like one line after the other, it is we are tired, but it's like reasonable. If you go like, if you are scrolling like that or like that, it's 5 to 7 times more, like you are more tired than from the reading, right? So that's why, like, if you have before some presentation or before the match, it's really counterproductive to do it, guys. According to the research done in the US, 40% of Americans, they do emails in toilet, when they are in toilet, right? How you can concentrate on the thing in the toilet if you do the emails, like you are in, I mean, anyway. So we'll talk more deeply about it, but this is crazy. This is crazy. Yeah, James, this is a good question from James H. James, I try like 1 hour window, basically, between, that's what they recommend also from Aura, and neuroscientists always like try to be in that 1 hour window. That even if I fly, like I have some lessons at King's College and UCL next week. There's a 1 hour difference in London, so you can still live in that 1 hour, right? To be honest, because I was traveling all my life, if I do like East Coast, I don't have almost jet lag, really, right? West Coast, I do. It's 9 hours to Prague, so that's what I do. But other than that, it is, guys, sleep is super important, especially now, because your brain is bombarded by so many messages. We are living in society which is over informed but under focused. And for focus, you need to have enough sleep, simply.
And that's it. This is what I mean when so many people think, I'm going to just use my mind over matter, I'm going to go top down. No, the best improvements you could make is bottom up, starting with the body, sleep, nutrition, Daylight. By the way, in the
Right.
winter, I have a lamp that I put in
Oh
every
yeah, yeah.
morning
I
just
have also like, yeah, I have a lot of, lamps. Because you can,
yeah,
if there's no light, you can, even in the morning, you can have like artificial light is better than nothing, right? Better
exactly.
than nothing. Absolutely.
Go buy a sun lamp. I take vitamin D supplements in the winter when it's great.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to take care of sort of these fundamental basics. If your desk is messy, that actually makes a challenge just for you to focus because you have all this chaos around you. Small, simple things that you can do, again, bottom up, that take care of the body, then your mind has more ability to be calm, to be in control, to think through, not just react, but have the ability to think, how do I want to react in this situation? But you
I
need
must
the energy to do
confess that my desk is messy,
it. Is
but
Betsy?
in organized way, okay? So that messiness is organized, so I know where to go always, right? But it's,
Still, you would do
and a lot of
better if
people,
it
in my
weren't
daughter,
messy.
when my daughter is in Prague, when she's flying in, she's like, how you can work like that? It's messy. And I'm like, no, it's a mess. You may think it's a mess, but it's like very well organized. All of those, papers and everything, all
Yes,
devices. And yeah, absolutely. Anyway,
I know
so,
what you mean.
but
What I want to make sure I add one
mhm,
really important thing that we haven't yet discussed, and
okay.
it goes back to my early career days. So some of you may know that I actually studied political science, and my first job was working in Capitol Hill. So I was studying and ready to be a politician. And one of the best lessons that I learned in politics is you always stay on your message. So when you're going to speak to reporters or you're going to speak with constituents, they're going to ask you what they're interested in. And you want to acknowledge the question, and then you want to turn it around to be able to say what it is that you wanted to say. And that is how I would recommend you go into every conversation,
Yeah,
every meeting, what is it that I want to say? What is it that I want to get out of this? And then how do I stay focused? So even when the other person, I don't mean ignore the other person, hear them, listen to them, but keep yourself focused not on letting them get to you, but rather focus on what is the message that I want to say? What is the outcome that I'm trying to get to? And if you're focused there, all the other shit that they're trying to throw your way to throw you off path, you go, no, no, I'm staying on path. And it's one of the mentally strong ways that you can make sure that ego stuff doesn't come in. If you don't know where you're going or you're not that committed, you can let other people get you off path. This is why Jan said that Andrew Huberman said, hey, if you're going for your purpose, your passion in life, what's really important to you, if you're going, I'm on the local board here for women in technology. And so if someone's going to come and say, women don't belong in technology, I'm not going to go, oh, okay, that sounds good, I'll just run away and hide. No, it's important to me. So I'm going to stick with it because I've committed, because it's something that's so valuable to me. So keep that top of mind as you're going into conversations and situations. Focus yourself. What's important here? What do I want to get across? What do I want to get out of this time? And let that be a focal point and not get thrown off
yeah.
by whatever's happening around.
And very often I tell Lisa, just hit the right button, the right point, because very often our amygdala is about where we have a different opinion from the other people. That's amygdala is basically very much strengthening that, hey, you need to work on that. And the thing is that even though you have like totally different opinion, the way you try to work together is to try to find at least small common denominator, something which can put you together. Maybe you have some common friends, I don't know. Okay, give you example. When we tried to settle our case with European Commission, that was a big case. It was, we were threatened to pay like 11 billion euros at that time, right? 2007. It was a huge thing. So we started to work like enemies. Okay, we didn't trust to each other and whatever. And once I said, okay, and I was like, my kind of the motto all the time. I said, when Europe will be successful in the global world, then Microsoft will be successful in Europe. Okay. And our basically theme was how to improve European competitiveness. And suddenly we started to work from there. And suddenly from that 11 billion, we paid 2 point something, right? Billion. So very low compared to what it could be.
Relatively speaking.
I was elected to be, advisor of the European Commission for Higher Education for like 6 years, right? So we turned basically the anger and frustration to friendship. Even Jean-Philippe Courtois, who is Microsoft president, he put one of the things which he put in the press release when I was leaving. He said, Jan basically encouraged our normalization of relationship with the European Commission, which was the case. And we really started like amygdala against amygdala. And we ended up, hey, one neocortex, with the other neocortex working together. Okay.
That's it. Then that's the one of those tricks. So again, your brain's going to want to stay here. This is the bodyguard to get here. And you want to have as many tools in your toolkit to override it. One of them is connection. What do we have in common?
Exactly.
How are we connected as people?
There is a one. I remember there was a thing once we settled the case 2009. There was a lady, she was a commissioner from Netherlands, Nelly Kroese, and she was a very, very tough negotiator, really very tough. Once we settled the case, she moved on and she was responsible for some other portfolio. She was never anymore like antitrust commissioner. She came, we were like opening new building in Brussels. She came to that building. She took, out there was on the podium this, thing when you like speak, how do you call it, speakers panel or whatever, right? So she took basically the lipstick from her pocket and she put there, I love Microsoft, Nelly Kroese. No kidding.
But that's how we make connections.
That's like fairy tale, right? So amazing.
Exactly.
That's what you can do.
And when you focus on that, what's my bigger purpose goal? How do I stay focused on that? How do I make joke out of the situation? How do I connect with the other person in front of me? The last tip I'll have before I start to summarize everything for us, one of the best ways to connect with someone is to have something uncommonly in common. So if I say to you, oh, you have kids, I have kids. Okay, well, a lot of people have kids. That's interesting, but it's not like crazy, right? I'm from New York. When I walk around and people have a New York Yankees cap on, fine. We're in New York. We all like the Yankees. That's good. When I'm walking around here and I see someone with a New York Yankees cap in Switzerland, I'm like, oh, are you a Yankees fan? Because that's uncommon and that we have it in common. So start to think about common things that you have. Maybe it's that you both love cycling one mountain pass. Maybe it's that you only love wines from this small Spanish region. Maybe it's you went to private school, prep school, whatever it is, but it should be uncommon so that people really feel, oh, I'm so connected to you. When we talk about how the brain works from ancient times, you want to be in on the in group. You don't want to be the stranger on the out group. I don't know you. No, we want to be in group. You're in that circle of trust. So everywhere you're going, when you're feeling anger, you're trying to find a way back here. Pause, reset, use something bottom up, body, or top down, mind. And some of the best things that you can do is stay focused outside of the self and more focused on them or on the goal.
Exactly.
And that's how you can, go ahead.
Don't believe all your thoughts, right? And always, every word is generating some chemicals in your brain. There's a huge difference between say, hey, I am threatened by the situation, or is a challenging situation. Okay. You want to have this, words which are like encouraging you. Okay. Challenge means like, okay, it's not easy. It's challenging, but I will go and do my best, basically, right? And if you are like threatened, that's about like, hey, I'll be defensive. That's not great.
Exactly. Okay. So opportunity focus. If you can change something, do. If you can't, change your mindset.
We are very much looking forward 2 weeks from now. There is a Champion League starting very soon.
Oh, okay. We gotta go. Gotta go.
And Czech Republic women, Czech Republic, if you are from Czech Republic, women are playing in England today against the English team. They are the champions, the European champions. So I have a couple of players there. Fingers crossed.
Amazing. Okay, we're gonna cheer them on, and we're gonna. We know our priorities. Okay.
Absolutely. Okay, guys. Thank you.
See you in 2 weeks. Take care.
Bye bye.